Day one of the second test in Chennai is over. The fans are back and Moeen Ali is back. India finished 300 for 6 with a fantastic knock from Rohit Sharma in there. It's the Murali Daily. I'm Mark Machado and I'm joined by Matt Owen, Owen Blackhurst and Luke Wills. Hashtag Uncle Johnson if you want to get in touch with us on Instagram or Twitter. We're powered by Sam's Chicken and Lion Beer. And if you want to fancy a crate of Lion Beer, we've got a great competition going on our socials right now. So go over there and check it out. So, lads, who do you think is going to bed the happier tonight?
India.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think especially with the state, say state, that's a bit harsh. The wear on the pitch already after 85, 90 overs on it, it looks like a day 3, day 4 pitch, which is quite, at the end of the day, you want the runs on the board, regardless of the amount of wickets gone down. But yeah, that 300 runs up after the first day on that wicket, with Pant now, reasonably set, to attack in the morning. I think they've got to be very happy.
Tell you what, it tells you a lot about the psyche of this Indian team, doesn't it? They've obviously have had something to do with the preparation of that pitch, and then to win the toss, knowing what it's going to be like, and go out and bat and say, we back ourselves to go and get a big score on that pitch and really put England under the pump. And I was talking to my brother before on WhatsApp, and I think this will be good for the England team though, because first test, you get big first innings runs, go and get the type of win they're looking to get. This will be a good challenge, and you've got to face challenges to progress as a team. So if India go and get 500, it's then how can this team react? And we'll learn a little bit more what they're like under pressure in very difficult conditions.
It's a strange kind of scorecard when you look at it, because if you take Rohit Rahani's innings out of it, it's the rest of the batsmen had a bit of a tough time, didn't they? I mean, Virat Kohli's barely getting started in this series, isn't he? I mean, he won't be going to bed happy tonight. I can tell you that for nothing. Where's it all going kind of right for the England bowlers? They just seem to know what to do with him, don't they?
I think he's feeling the pressure as a captain, especially after what happened in Australia. I think that's in the back of his mind, and because he's such a special talent, it might well be. It could well be time soon. I shouldn't say this, but for him to consider just being in the team, well, not just being in the team as a captain, as a batsman, but it seems to be playing on his mind.
I think he's come out straight away and thought, right, I'm going to be aggressive against an off spinner, and Moeen's got one exactly in the right place and got one to turn. Let's be honest, more spectacularly than he'd got anything to turn before that or after really. But it is. If you look at it, it's a little bit of a loose shot first up. He's faced 4 or 5 balls at the time.
Very loose.
Yeah, I was to say, I think he obviously like it's a bit, I thought it's quite funny just coming out. Yeah, I'll come out with the hat on, like looking like I'm having a bit of a dead catch. Like, I'll see myself in front of the crowd, and then one's ripped back through the gate. And that was great for Moeen as well to take that wicket, because that was the confidence boost he needed. Obviously, as we mentioned off air, he's had a fair bit of criticism, but I thought he bowled pretty well today. Obviously, he's gone for quite a few runs. He's gone at like 4, 5 and over, but he was bowling attacking lines. And then, in compared to like Leach, when Leach bowls sort of very straight, very tight lines, he doesn't give much away. He tries to build the pressure a bit. When Moeen was bowling a lot more attacking lines, and if he does waver a little bit away from his line, then he is gonna go for runs. But it's good to have, if you're having 2 spinners, full-time spinners like playing in the subcontinent, you want like one of them to hold down an end if anything, and then one of them to be attacking, and which was what happened in the first test of the three. Was Leach was sort of having to do both, because Bess, especially in the second innings, wasn't producing.
Yeah, Phil Tufnell, who knows a lot about spin bowling. I know he can get a bit dragged into being his personality when he's broadcasting these days, but he knows a lot more about spin bowling than any of us and most people who go after Mo on Twitter. And he said he hasn't bowled that badly here. He hasn't dragged loads down. He hasn't bowled many full bungers. He's just had Rohit determined to play in his one-day style. And Rohit did more than anyone hit him off his attacking lines. In the same over, he swept one from where that line he was bowling, which he got Kohli out, and then 2 balls later he hit basically the same ball for 6 over long off. You know, you just got to take it sometimes that you're going to go around the park as a spinner, and you've just got to. He created loads of chances. Rohit could have been caught a couple of times. You know, he was attacking both edges of the bat. It wasn't always turning big, but I think exactly what you say. He's there to attack. They will have told him to attack. And Moeen Ali, he won't care about his figures. He'll just care he's contributing for England.
For me, Moeen Ali is cricket's answer to James Milner. I mean, he could do a little bit of everything. I mean, it's always team above self. And he's just you know, if you're in the trenches with him, he's going to be going over with you, leading from the front on the front foot. Doesn't, you know, he gets hit for 6, doesn't care, happily end up taking a wicket the next ball. That's the kind of player he is, you know. I think he's much more mentally tougher than we probably realise as well. And that's why, for me, I always think you know, if you could, you'd have a team with people with, you know, at least a mental kind of in the same mental space, in the same headspace as Moeen Ali.
Yeah, as I was saying before earlier, that I think he's the modern day Derek Randall. You know, he's willing to do anything. You know, he'll bat up and down the order, and Moeen will bowl whenever. But they both got treated like shit. Both those players, they never got a settled place in the side. And let's face it, Moeen hasn't played any cricket. Well, he hasn't bowled for ages. So, you know, I think he's done fantastically well.
Yeah,
and also he was stuck in his hotel room for 10 days, wasn't he? Like,
yeah,
well, there's that as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I was going to say as well, they see that they actively, maybe they would try that. I think maybe they were trying to do that to. They do see him as a dangerous bowler, like you know, as dangerous as Leach. So they try to hit him out of the attack, which Sharma, like, you know, did pretty well at putting him around the park, but he still was, you know, creating chances, which is what he needs to do.
Yeah, the fact that the Indian batsmen are trying to get to our slow bowlers is quite indicative that they rate them, I think, because they, you know, if they, I've seen a lot of tours where they'll just milk our slower bowlers, and they'll just, you know, dink them around for 2 or 3 and over. But you're right, with Leach in the last game, he absolutely went after him. And they didn't actually go after Moeen today, but they did try and get on top of him a little bit. But Rohit's innings today was absolutely superb. I mean, I think, was it 160 he got on that wicket in a day? That is quite outstanding. So you've got to take that into consideration.
Yeah, and the whoever the cameraman was obsessed with Rohit's wife. She was on, she was on camera more than some of the players. It was absolutely non-stop.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on.
Did you see her face when I think he was on 98 and he tried to play that paddle and like got off the toe of the bat and just dropped short of, I think it was Burns. And she looked like she was having a nervous breakdown in the up in the balcony.
It's remarkable, isn't it, though? Because he's had, what is this? I think this is his 37th or 38th test. When you think about it, you think he's been around forever, but he's been in and out of the test team quite a bit in his career. And for him to go in, he's definitely been under pressure. The whole team has to go in and play an innings like that. I mean, we're trying to give it the credit, but it was phenomenal. If an England player played that, you'd be talking about it for 20 years.
Yeah, yes. Absolutely. I think as well. Like, I think on that wicket, I think attacking was probably your best, you know, the best way of playing, because I think when it started to turn quite substantially, like, you know, midway through the day, I was like sitting on your back foot and trying to defend it. You're probably going to nick one through, or, you know, you're going to get yourself in all sorts of trouble. Where first, I think like Rohit just said, like, right, I'm just going to play my shots, be positive as I can, and the runs obviously came, so it's worked out well for him.
I was surprised to hear that was only his 7th Test century.
Yeah, I thought that. Yeah, I was surprised, very surprised.
Because as you said, Owen, it does feel like he's been around for ages and would have batted for ages. And India's not the kind of team you stay in, especially as an opener, if you're not making big scores regularly. But I mean, as you say, it was an absolute class innings. It's if this does, you know, end up being a classic test, and it's way too early to tell, then that's going to be the thing that sets it all up, isn't it? Because he kind of carried his team today, didn't he?
It was Saywag like, wasn't it? Really, the way he just tore into the bowlers, and it was still it was calculated at the same time. It wasn't. I don't think it was wild at all, to be quite honest with you. I thought he was. It looked like he knew exactly what he was doing, and he played a lot of orthodox shots as well. He's a fantastic cricketer.
He hit both Stokes and Broad out the attack early on. He treated Stokes like he was some fourth change trundler from a Sunday side. That pull shot he dispatched him into the stands with was incredible.
Yeah.
Can we spare a few minutes before we wrap this all up to talk about the umpiring, particularly in that third and final session, because it kind of seemed to fall apart, didn't it, really?
Yeah. There was a lack of communication with the stumping. Not the stumping, sorry, the
glove.
Caught back pad.
Yeah.
And stumping, which I thought immediately, well, that's on the line, so the lines are keepers, so they've got to be out. Both of those were pretty dismal. And
we should say England have had their review reinstated, haven't they? Because
yes. I don't understand that, to be quite honest. I mean, it's good that we've had it reinstated, but that's just like putting your hands up and saying, "Yeah, we're shite."
Yeah, so, I think that I was going to say. I think that's like them trying to sort of cover their tracks a bit, which I think, if anything, it makes it look more obvious that they've cocked up.
I mean, it's like we were talking earlier on about the fact that there's no neutral umpires, which is a bit of a ridiculous thing to call umpires because they should be that anyway. But the fact is, they can't actually get neutral umpires out there for these test matches when they can, they've got all these cricketers in a bubble and all the backroom staff in a bubble. Why can't they get 4 officials out there? I mean, not that, I'm not saying anyone's cheating or anything like that, but questions will be asked. I mean, it takes you back to, I think when England won the Ashes, I think it was 70, 71 out in Australia, they played 6 test matches, Australian umpires, of course, and England didn't get 1 LBW. So these sort of questions will be asked again. And,
talking about umpires, and to get it on a bit of a lighter note, if they can't get neutral umpires there, but what if they could get 2 fictional characters from film or TV standing as umpires, and who would you like it to be? I would love to see Tony Soprano at one end, for example.
Dirty Harry.
Dirty Harry at square leg. Yeah, they wouldn't be a bad 2. Anyone else?
I'd like to see Wally/Waldo do it, because then we'd all know where he was. And also, I just feel like he's got a lot of attention to detail, and also doesn't like to make himself the centre of attention. So I think he's got lots of characteristics that would make him good for it.
Luke, anyone you'd fancy?
I mean, no one's really jumping into my head, really. God, I can't even think. I like to see someone with a bit of giving it a bit of sass with their signals. So maybe someone off of maybe like someone who's been on.
What about Louis Spence?
Yes, Louis Spence would be a great shout. Just given put his signals would put Bowden to shame. Just giving it absolute sass, like putting up signaling 4 or sticking his arms up to 6.
I'd have taken Billy Bowden today, actually.
Yeah.
I'd have taken Billy Bowden, or
I'd have taken Billy. I'd have taken Billy Bunter after some of the things we've seen out there today, let alone Bowden.
The thing is, to make it slightly more serious again, actually, I mean, it's easy. It was so easy for them to get umpires in because, I mean, it's less than an hour's flight from Chennai to Colombo, I think, or about an hour. They could have just flown 4 decent umpires in from Sri Lanka, bubbled them up with the, wherever, in another. I'm sure there's 3 hotels in Chennai, and then it could have, because the problem is cricket, let's be honest, has a bit of a reputation for being a slightly dirty sport. And when you see stuff like that happen, it really, immediately within minutes of that the decisions going bad, I was getting WhatsApps from different people going, what's going on with the BCCI? Why have they allowed to appoint their own umpires and stuff like that? It's like cricket just doesn't. You just don't need that kind of conversation happening, do you?
No.
Well, to be quite honest with you, even if they were to have the neutral umpires, they're not even the best umpires. The umpiring panel are only the guys who are prepared to schlep around the world doing it. Some of the best umpires, well, they're not even on that panel because they can't be asked to go and umpire in God knows where. So they're not even getting the best umpires anyway.
I just think as well, I was going to say, it's a bit off topic, sort of, but obviously, they've not had umpires over, put them in bubbles and whatnot. But then it was amazing to see crowds back in.
Yeah.
But I was, it's great. It was great to obviously have an atmosphere. But I was a bit baffled to why seemed like two of the stands were completely empty, and then they packed everyone into two stands all side by side. And I'm like, I thought we're supposed to be doing. I don't know. Obviously, I'm not up on what the situation is like regarding social distancing and like what's the guidelines in India, but I was like, that definitely doesn't look like that's like been particularly responsible way of doing it. And it's not dig at how things are in India, because I'm not up on the topic per se, but yeah, I was a bit confused by why they've emptied out two whole stands and then packed everyone into the other two.
I was speaking to my wife about this last night, because she grew up in Calcutta, and India's dealt very well. Well, not dealt very well, but hasn't had the sort of rate of infections we have here. And it's cultural. I mean, you've got to remember, Western society, we're immunised a lot as kids and protected against stuff, whereas there wasn't as much immunisation when she was growing up. There was also, you dealt a lot more with stuff like this, not to this level, but when she was growing up, and also a country that is more used to things like that happening. Yeah. And there was also some chat early on, wasn't there, about people who've been vaccinated for TB having some or more resistance to COVID. I might be completely wrong here, but I did read something like that. And obviously there would have been a lot of people who've been vaccinated against TB some time ago, but it was great. I mean, if anyone wants to get in touch and tell me I'm absolutely wrong with that, but speaking to her, and from her perspective, she said, and her speaking to her relatives there, that's what she thought. And it's probably difficult for us, isn't it, to comment on fans being back in the stands, because we seem miles away from that.
Yeah, it's lovely. It was lovely to see, wasn't it? I mean, I thought it was fantastic. It's like the first time I was watching the Big Bash, earlier on in the year, and I thought, oh, that's good. That's really good. And then I saw I think it's some of the test matches as well in Australia, and it just shows you how far behind we are. So yeah, we're in no position.
Yeah, I'm just jealous. That's all it is.
I'm insanely jealous. Insanely jealous.
What I'll just add to that, Owen, is I think you are right in saying that, because obviously I've got family from that part of the world as well. They're much more used to listening to government instruction, where more or less in the UK, until the pandemic happened, the government almost never told us what we had to do to that prescriptive level, where in India and Sri Lanka and places like that, it happens quite regularly.
Yeah, I mean, all my in-laws, I mean, we've been married for a long time now, but they've always had hand sanitizer since I've known them and stuff like that. And so it was just part and parcel. It was just more part and parcel of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Just been quite it'd been good to have maybe them spread around the whole ground for more of a surround sound atmosphere. But it was, like I say, it was amazing when Sean went to his turn, just to hear the noise. It was it's great. Right. It really was it's so. And then even walking off at tea, the round of applause they would get. It's so nice to see it again. Really, especially for an English team as well, to have actual a crowd.
I'd like to read or listen to a deep dive into where all the plastic chairs that are in that stadium, what they do when the cricket's not on, because that must be some logistical nightmare, isn't it?
Very true, yeah.
Definitely. I tell you what, Chris Silverwood's got a bit of a Mickey Arthur's shorts problem going on, hasn't he? I saw a lot of flank from Silverwood today when the camera kept panning to him. There was some big thighs.
Yeah, it was almost a moment like Friends, put the mouse back in the house, mate. I was getting
a Partridge moment. Yeah, the boys back in the barracks. Yeah.
The boys back in the barracks, brilliant.
Shall we leave it there, lads? We'll obviously be back tomorrow with more Murali Daily after the end of the second test. So subscribe if you're not subscribed already. This will be up on YouTube, so you can watch our lovely mugs on YouTube at some point as well. That depends on when Tommy decides to edit it and put it all up. And remember to get in touch with us if you want to win a crate of beer, if you just want to send us some random messages on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at the Murali End. Bye.